Hello, 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 and welcome back to another one of my ASMR videos. Today I will be reading for you guys, although my throat is kind of sore, so I apologise if I may have to take breaks at some points. As of recording this video, we are on 398 subscribers, which is kind of crazy. Being 2 away from 400 so quick is really mental. So we're going to continue reading the book Empowered. Let me just find the chapter we're on. I think the chapter we're on is Am I Good Enough? So let me start reading. The people who approach me feel intense imposter syndrome and are often people who come from backgrounds like mine. They are either young black or ethnic minority students. Some of them raised in a single parent household from a lower socioeconomic background, who went to poorly funded school and were on free school meals. Sometimes they are girls in male-dominated environments, or students who have learned English as their second language or attended university on a scholarship. Typically, these people feel most insecure about claiming their space in their new, highly paid job role of top university. Before I continue, I need to define what imposter syndrome is to make sure we're on the same page and that we attach the correct word to the correct feeling. Imposter syndrome is essentially the overwhelming and constant feeling of I am not good enough, I do not belong, or they have made a mistake. It's a constant self-doubt of occupying a space that you have rightfully earned. Imposter syndrome often kicks in when someone gains something they either thought they would never gain or have been told by others that they should never have gained. My getting into both Oxford and Harvard came as a big shock to myself, but also to those around me. Whenever I tell people where I study or have studied, their response tells me that my occupation of a space at the institution is something that I should be amazed by. You will not experience imposter syndrome. For example, or being a good sibling, you would know whether you were kind and would happily receive your sibling's praise without doubting yourself. However, doubt yourself when given a promotion or a multi-million-dollar fund to oversee. I'll stop myself because I think you get the gist. But essentially, imposter syndrome is the doubting of your own skills and achievements because you fear that you may be exposed to being underqualified despite earning your place. Imposter syndrome is essentially the overwhelming and constant feeling of I am not good enough, I do not belong, or they have made a mistake. I've experienced imposter syndrome about so many things at so many different times. Looking back at these moments, I truly wish I hadn't, because I feel like it would have made my time in those spaces much easier. A large chunk of the time I spent at Oxford was wasted on trying to convince myself that I was good enough, despite believing I could do it prior to applying, and telling myself I deserved nothing but the best that the world had to offer. Once I was actually there, self-doubt kicked in. The biggest trigger for the imposter syndrome was not seeing people who looked or sounded like me in a space that was so prestigious. So many people spoke about wanting to study there. Oh, sorry for so much yawning. So many tourists visited and paid insane amounts of money just to take a tour of the place where I was officially a student. Everyone around me sounded so different and completely different backgrounds to mine. Many had attended private schools and led extremely wealthy and privileged lives. There was also, of course, not only a lack of diversity in class and financial status, but also in race. An overwhelming majority of students at my university were white, while an extremely small minority were black. Walking around and never seeing anyone who looked like me was what really made my imposter syndrome kick in. I began to doubt myself, wondering whether I was the right type of student for a place like this. Everyone seemed so prepared, adjusting to Freshers' Week like it was nothing. We would attend things like formal dinners, and there would be about 5 forks and knives either side of my plate. I'd watch other students so effortlessly pick up the ones needed for each course, while I was sat there not knowing why we needed so many, let alone which one was for which course. We would attend the afternoon teas or coffees, and I would hear people talking about the hot courses and the races, and how much they had enjoyed attending this one or that one, because this happened or that happened. Meanwhile, I had to secretly take out my phone to Google what these races even were. I would sit in my classical archaeology class and ancient history group seminars and listen to the students and the teacher compare their favourite part of the pyramids tour, while I mentally choked at the cost of the flight to Egypt. Things such as these played a huge role in enhancing the imposter syndrome I was already feeling. I began to wonder if the day would come when I'd be told that the admission team had actually made a mistake and that I did not, in fact, belong at this institution. The feeling constantly played in my head during my first year of university. It infiltrated my dreams and kept me awake at night. The thing that bothers me most about imposter syndrome is that it happens to the people who should feel it the least. It saddens me when I hear those that have truly worked hard and earned their place, feeling as if it was undeserved or doubting themselves, especially the people from less supported and less privileged backgrounds. These are the people that should feel proud of themselves. They managed to enter a position of privilege from a position of disadvantage, makes the achievement that much more incredible. This, and I wish V applying for Oxford knew this, should make you feel more confident because it means you're capable, despite having the barriers that were previously in your way. It shows that you're innovative, can think of solutions, and are able to adapt to whatever is needed. The very nature of coming from a lower socioeconomic background and managing to achieve what someone who is privileged has achieved shows the wealth of your abilities. Having to jump through hoops of fire to sit where you are sitting should not exemplify how qualified and deserving you are. If anything, the person who has all the doors open for them should feel more imposter syndrome. Who knows if they'd still be able to accomplish their goals if all that was taken away from them. Securing a place, promotion, or whatever goal it may be, it's a testament to your ability, skill, and talent. Sorry if I stutter a lot. I tend to struggle with reading. Not sure why, but more so happens when I'm tired. My brain just kind of jumbles the words together. I'm getting my glasses on Saturday though, so that is a positive. Okay. Reframing your anxieties. As I mentioned in the Rejection is Redirection chapter, it's all about framing of things. In this case, take what you feel insecure about and ask yourself, why do I feel inadequate here? Some of the questions might be going through your head could be, am I smart enough? Do I belong? Do I have enough experience? If you take these worries and flip them on their head, they can be viewed positively. When I was accepted into Harvard and worried about my lack of experience after rejection of scholarships, etc., I had to reframe it. I was concerned that I had mistakenly been admitted to this prestigious university without having enough worldly experience in the field of education. My peers had either been teaching or in education sector for 10 plus years and were extremely experienced. I had just received my undergraduate degree 4 months prior and was jumping straight into my master's. This filled me with fear because I thought they would view me as inadequate and that I wouldn't have anything to offer. However, a friend of mine encouraged me to see these anxieties from another perspective, that despite me not having worked in over 10 plus years in the educating sector, I still managed to secure a place at one of my dream universities on a competitive international education policy course. She reminded me that while doing a full-time undergraduate degree at academic intense university, she allowed me to see how I had gotten creative and used social media to reach out to people of these underrepresented communities, posting videos as a resource to help for others to use. How, when I couldn't yet get into classrooms to help students, I used my platform to mentor multiple students at the same time. How I managed to champion girls' education in Zimbabwe while in England. Since my degree didn't allow me to take time off, etc. She said it was at this level of innovation that showed I cared and showed about my desire to want to be a change maker, and eventually join the world leaders. The fact that I was completing a full-time degree was not going to stop me from doing the things I cared about. She said it was this commitment to doing my part until I could be a qualified educator which got me into Harvard. She encouraged me in ways I didn't know I needed and asked, "Why not you? Why can't you want to be one of these students that gains a place?" Any answer I tried to give, she easily rebutted. Her unwavering confidence in me and my own ability kept me going and helped me fight off that imposter syndrome. But it wasn't easy. And even now I find it come creeping back. The difference now is, the more I recognise it, the more I know how to deal with it. It took some time to understand where these emotions were coming from, and eventually I found a way to not only fight the phenomenon, but also learning how to deal with it in a healthy and long-term way. Reframing how I viewed my place, and seeing that I had more to offer than I had given myself credit for, helped boost my confidence in class, instead of viewing myself as an underqualified 22-year-old. I now saw myself as someone who had managed to do something despite having limited resources. Someone who managed to create an online community of over 250,000 online students across the globe, whilst also getting a degree from one of the dream schools and fighting for equality and diversity within higher education of underrepresented students. Where's the punctuation? It's like I'm making one massive breath. I now took what I had achieved and focused on embracing that rather than fixating on it. I had not yet gotten the chance to do. I think that a lot of us are often prone to doing this. Writing ourselves off before we've even started. I already told myself I wouldn't have anything to offer my peers before I'd even met them. I'm now just one semester into my Harvard degree. I can confirm that just as much as I'm learning from my peers, they're also learning from me. I find myself adding insightful information about global affairs from a perspective using both my views and those of my audience. I can find them tuning to me to learn about Zimbabwean culture and politics, and how this intersects the decision made for girls' education. I find myself becoming more and more instrumental in my classes, and contributing to the shape of discussions and work. However, if I had allowed my thoughts to take control, believing that I had nothing to add, I may never have applied, or if I had, I may never have spoken in class out of fear. Most people do this in the world of work. They never apply for a high-paying job role because they either think they won't do the job well, despite having the skill set required, or that they aren't good enough and won't get it anyway, so why bother applying? Many people do this in the world of work. They never apply for the high-paying job. Oh, I've just read the same thing again. Apparently there's like a subtext here, what is down here? Anyway. So why bother applying? The issue is, I won't get it anywhere, so why bother applying? Is that it restricts you. It limits you to the options you think you are available to you, to only ever doing the set things that you know you can get. The problem with this, as you can imagine, is that you may never be challenged. You may never get to maximise your skills, or learn new ones, and worst of all, you may never get to live your dreams. If you allow fear or not getting it anywhere to win, it means your fear comes true. The irony of this mentality is that by virtue of never applying because you're afraid of not getting it, you'll never get it. The fear of the thing we want is bigger than what we have to do to get it. You're most likely to get that big promotion if you apply for it, but the fear of not getting it can become bigger than your desire. The actual task is simpler than the fear makes it. I always encourage people to apply, because the worst thing that can happen is that you don't get it. Because in not getting it, as we mentioned in Rejection is Redirection chapter, you may learn a lot about yourself, and prepare yourself for something even greater. Not applying is never the answer, because that doesn't help us advance or gain any information. If you apply and get the role, you will have elevated yourself, begun a new chapter, and have the joy of gaining new skills in a new role. If you're not successful, you will learn what some of your strongest points are and which ones need work. You can gain some practice in the interview process and build your confidence for the next time you try. Or you might learn that the role was not quite right for you. But by never applying, you miss out on the unknown. It's important in your self-empowerment journey to take some risks. This will sound very cliched, but high risk warrants high return. By fighting your imposter syndrome, you're investing in yourself, and with self-investments, there are always great returns. Taking the steps to overcome that imposter syndrome will lead to you being happier, more confident, and empowered life. Something that we all deserve. Imposter syndrome holds people back from truly exploring their passions, desires, or interests, because of fear of not being good enough. But the work of fighting or handling the imposter syndrome is not an overnight job. It's still something that I manage now, despite improving my doubts wrong in almost all of the aspects of my life. It still somehow creeps in. It takes a lot of work, great practice, and consistent efforts to keep it at bay. I do agree with that quite a lot. With my channel, I do tend to get a lot of imposter syndrome, but you all are just ever so lovely, and I tell myself that I truly do deserve the support, because I just see a lot of really kind messages from you all, and I do the same thing at work. I think that I'm not good enough for my job, but in reality I am. I don't know, I think imposter syndrome is really common nowadays for people, especially around our age and social media being present. You see everyone else's lives and think, oh, they're doing so much better than me, and stuff like that. One sec, I need to cough. And I think it's easy to downplay your own skill set and emotions. Yeah, I guess so. I think it's easy to downplay yourself, and you shouldn't, because you're amazing and you're great. Okay. The what will people think phase. Oh, I was going to say that. I also was hesitant to start this channel for a long time, as I thought people would judge me, but I've been given so much support and kindness from everyone that I get really excited to record and do all these things, because you're all so lovely. Anyway, back to the book. What will people think phase? Something else that becomes an issue once you've overcome imposter syndrome is, what will people think? Many people feel undeserving of something or find it difficult to embrace their achievement, not only internally, but externally, because they're worried about how they'll be viewed. The fear often comes from a society having embedded stereotypes about people due to their sexuality, gender, race, and other factors. So much that people feel the need to downplay their achievements or remain silent about them. It then becomes difficult to accept your achievements because you often feel others around you think you're undeserving. Fighting these negative comments and stereotypes, or the people that bring you down, isn't easy. It makes me incredibly sad that you might have found happiness in an opportunity if someone hadn't said something negative to you. Okay, you may not have been insecure about it until someone else led you to think that way. We don't doubt ourselves in our position in the world until society tells us to. This type of imposter syndrome is often the hardest to undo. It takes a lot more work because it requires not caring about what other people think, a task which is easier said than done. We live in a time when the opinion of others matters more than ever, especially on social media where photos, videos and blog posts are judged on their quality based on how many people literally like it. This makes separating people's opinions from how we feel more difficult than science. Yeah, I agree. I was watching a video today where a lot of people don't have original thoughts. Everyone just tends to jump on a bandwagon nowadays, whether it's because the opinions, whether they want it to be the popular opinion or the unpopular opinion, because they want to be, well, I guess a lot of it's engagement bit, but it's a matter of people don't form their own opinions. They always want to hop on a bandwagon, if you get what I mean. It's because they want what they want to be involved. I think people are too scared to be original, and people should thrive on being unique and being themselves and not be ashamed of that. I think I've done a lot of that lately. I've started to come out of my box with like the tattoo, that Luffy cosplay, this channel, and I've tried to stop caring as much how people think about me, and in a way, as she said, blocking out the haters. I think it's very important as you get older to stop caring about what people think about you, as I think it can weigh a lot on you in your daily life and can cause a lot of stress and anxiety. My advice in these cases is that you must take control of your environment. It's important to choose good people to surround yourself with. Those who are positive want to see you do well and will even go as far as helping you achieve your life goals. You need people who see beyond the exterior and who don't define you simply based on your race, sexuality, or gender. People who try to place you in a box and tell you what you can and can't do are not the people you want to be around. These people will feed into your imposter syndrome and play a huge role in you not applying or trying new things. Oftentimes, their lack of support or lacking belief in you is typically a reflection of themselves. They might be afraid to go for their dreams and are intimidated when you are brave enough to do so. So they might try to bring you down with them. Therefore, it's crucial that you try to separate negative opinions from your own reality. The difficulty with trying to separate projection from genuine advice is that you'll instantly believe both are true. Once we hear negative words, they are often difficult to unhear. Black women and other marginalised groups are often told what they can and can't do, and often face rejection and dismissal from society based on their race. They are told they are aiming too high, that they are not good enough, they aren't represented in high-end campaigns, they're ignored by major makeup brands, they're copyrighted, manipulated, erased from history. All this feeds directly into their subsequent imposter syndrome. These attitudes are more embedded into our society and thus take a lot more work to undo. The treatment of black women around the world and how much their abilities, beauty, and talent are judged and doubted truly breaks my heart. It means that instead of simply existing and enjoying our lives, we have to spend so much time undoing the work of those who oppress us. It's a deep shame that marginalised communities have to endure undoing the damage that they did not cause, but was rather placed upon them. This is why I get so happy when I see black and brown women succeeding and living their lives because they really deserve it and more. Knowing that we deserve better is the first step. These negative opinions are a mixture of projections and things that have no business being given attention or thought to. We cannot allow the deeply entrenched notion of imposter syndrome to win, because if we do, it will sadly always win. We have to break these cycles and show the world that we are more than just four walls that they are trying to place us in. Practical steps to overcoming imposter syndrome. Before we get into the steps, I want to preface them by saying that overcoming imposter syndrome isn't something that will just happen overnight. It's also not something that will magically vanish and never appear again. It's something you have to actively work at. It will be a constant work in progress, and even after years of feeling great and not doubting your abilities, it will randomly crop up unexpectedly. What's important is to learn how to deal with it so that if it ever arises again, it doesn't win. Here's what you can use in practice. Speak to yourself in the mirror. This is what I did when feeling overwhelmed by the culture at Oxford. I woke up every day and literally stood in front of the mirror and reminded myself of why I was worthy of having everything I had dreamed of. Constantly waking up and telling myself positive affirmations helped build my confidence. When you hear something so often, you begin to believe it. I began to see myself in the same light as my family did, a kind, hard-working girl who was smart enough and good enough to be at one of her dream universities. What are some of the positive affirmations you could say to yourself right now? I am good enough to be here. My voice matters and deserves to be heard. It's okay to not be okay. My ideas are worth sharing. My best is good enough. Explore your feelings in a journal. Whenever I feel doubt creeping in, I wrote in my diary. It's important for me to physically see that I felt insecure or doubtful about. Once I had written a few words or a phrase in my diary, I would close the book and go to sleep. Or continue with my day. The next day, I would open up and create spider diagrams around the words of doubt. Writing down all the reasons I shouldn't feel this way. Having spent time away from those feelings before coming face to face with them again, helped me rationalise my thoughts. It allowed me to put things into perspective. Also, being able to break down how I felt on paper gave me the opportunity to spot issues a lot more easily, so that I could address them with myself. Whenever I felt those emotions again, I could flick back to the diary entry and remind myself of the reasons why the imposter feeling was wrong. Turn to your support networks for guidance. Something else that truly helped me fight my imposter syndrome, especially regarding my YouTube channel, is putting myself on the internet, was, and still is, my older sister. Her unwavering confidence in me truly carried me through the negative thoughts when I wanted to give up. Putting myself out there for the world to see wasn't easy, and sometimes I'd be made fun of at university. But her ignore them attitude helped me immensely. She's taught me about projection, how people try to put you down for the very things that they themselves feel insecure about or wish that they were doing. Something a lot of people do nowadays. Having someone like your sister, friend, or partner being there when you're feeling imposter syndrome is extremely helpful. They can help you that is a self-doubt moment by reminding you of how incredible you are, or offer some constructive criticism. 4. Know your triggers. Try to acknowledge what is that sends you into that I am not good enough spiral. Try to remove those things from your space and build new habits. For so long, I was insecure about my weight, something I don't ever talk about with my people or on my social media platforms. I would find that the times that I felt the worst for this was when I scrolled through Instagram. I would see images of women who had undergone bodily enhancements, as well as those who used photo editing apps. I saw their bodies and wished I could look like them. This notion of not appearing physically good enough would spiral into negative thoughts and seep out into other aspects of my life. It would lead me to doubt my strength and willpower. If I couldn't easily lose weight and exercise self-control, then how could I be mentally fit enough to lead global change and education for young girls? I realise, looking back now, that the two notions don't correlate, but at the time it made complete sense to me. For this reason, I began to unfollow those unrealistic pages of Photoshop women. I realised that their presence in my space didn't serve me. Once I began to treat my social media space the same way I did my real life, filling it with things that were good, positive, and informative for me, I began to feel better. If you can, it's essential that you try and find the source of your insecurity, the one that's feeding your imposter syndrome, and how to get rid or minimise it, if it's within your control. What are you waiting for? Look your imposter syndrome in the face and tell it, not today, man. Okay, so we are at the end of that chapter. I hope you all learned a thing or two that video and that you enjoyed it. I do agree with a lot of the things said in the video. I think a lot of people are very quick to undermine themselves and also downplay their abilities. I'll get on it in a minute. I just need a thumbnail shot. That'll do. Anyway, I think nowadays everyone downplays their own abilities. And it's very easy to do so. It's very easy to look at everyone else and be like, oh, they're in so much better position than me. And oh, they have this, they have that. I think you need to see what you have and appreciate that. 1 second, I need to cough. I don't know what is wrong with me. My throat seems to be killing, but it's fine. I'll get over it. Anyway, I hope you all really did enjoy the video. And my question of the day is, what is the favourite book that you have ever read? Whether it be now, 10 years ago, or whenever really in your life. And if you got to the end of the video, comment a random emoji, as I doubt many people will have. But I hope you all have a great morning, evening, and rest of your night. I'll see you all in the next one.